Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's video, a major heat wave will expand with triple-digit heat building into the central states as we go into the new week. And the ring of fire pattern does persist with heavy rain and severe weather, especially across the northern states going into next week. And we talk about the active tropics with a subtropical storm Don and Hurricane Calvin moving across both the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean as we go through the long-term period. So looking here at the current alerts across the United States, you see the heat really building across the west here, the desert southwest, and across the Gulf Coast. In the orange, those are heat advisories, but the pinks across the Sacramento Valley there in California, Arizona down toward Phoenix, getting into the Las Vegas region, parts of Utah, those are excessive heat warnings, and you know it's hot when you have excessive heat warnings in climatologically one of the hottest places this time of year in the United States. But we're also talking about flooding up across the Northeast in the green here from western Maine down through New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania. Those are flood watches. We'll get to that here in just a little while. But looking at the overall weather pattern, still remains the same. We have the northwest flow across the upper Midwest getting into the Ohio Valley here. That's keeping a lot of these areas cooler with storm chances almost every single day across these areas. But it's a different story across California and the desert southwest and really much of the west coast where we have the heat building, the ridge of high pressure. You have lots of sunshine and dry air across those areas, and that really continues through Monday. The high pressure ridge will start to inch its way further to the east by Monday, still with northwest flow though across the eastern two-thirds of the country. But I think by Wednesday, the middle of next week, we're going to start to see that ridge expand further east to include the southeastern United States and even parts of the mid-Atlantic as we go into the middle of next week. So looking at today's high temperatures, another scorcher it will be. We have more triple-digit heat expected from Dallas-Fort Worth back through the Midland, Texas region, Abilene on southward toward the Rio Grande Valley. We also will have some extremely high temperatures over here into the desert southwest, Phoenix up to 115, 120 up here into Death Valley. So it's going to be very hot as we go through the afternoon. But even some upper 90s getting all the way up into Oregon and Washington State, portions there of southwestern Idaho through this afternoon. It will be a scorcher up across those areas. But look up across the upper Midwest. With the northwest flow, temperatures are only stuck into the 70s and low 80s. So get outside and enjoy the nice weather up here while you have it across the Midwestern regions. As we go into Monday, the heat continues to build further to the east. So more triple-digit heat, much of the same across the southern United States, except we're pulling it a little bit further to the east and into the northeast. So the Ozarks region back here into Kansas, we'll be feeling some of that heat with temperatures in the mid to upper 90s, maybe some 90s across the East Coast as well. And then as we go into Wednesday, the heat really is on full blast across the southeastern United States with a lot of these areas. Atlanta, back to Raleigh, getting back to Jackson, Mississippi, Memphis, Nashville, Paducah, Kentucky. All those areas will be into the 90s, if not the triple digits, by the time we get into the middle of next week. It was a very eventful day with the severe weather side of things across the United States yesterday. These are yesterday's storm reports from Friday, July 14th. A lot of wind reports. We had a very strong mesoscale convective system pushed through central, eastern Kansas into Missouri. That fishtailed its way down into northeastern Oklahoma, and even all the way down to the Little Rock region with 255 wind reports. 9 of those were of hurricane force. We had 4 tornadoes reported, one up here into portions of Michigan, a couple others here into portions of northeastern Illinois, and we also did have 39 hail reports. So a very busy day yesterday, 298 storm reports all told, and this number could be growing over the next few hours. But as we go through this weekend, we have more, at least low-end severe weather from the eastern Ohio Valley all the way down here into the southeast with a marginal risk of severe weather. A slight risk is introduced by the Storm Prediction Center into northeastern New Mexico, into the western Texas panhandle. This is just west of the Amarillo area, so we'll be keeping an eye on that. We could have some marginally severe storms push into North Texas across the Abilene region and further to the east toward the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex this afternoon and evening. Then as we shift into Sunday, the marginal risk of severe weather will mainly be across the northern states. We have a little system moving across portions of Nebraska, northern Kansas, and that will translate eastward across the mid-Missouri Valley into western Illinois. And then we have more marginally severe storms across the northeast from the Delmarva all the way up into upstate New York and Vermont on Sunday. But the bigger story is going to be the flooding aspect of this storm. So as this pushes to the east, a lot of moisture, a lot of heat available. So we're going to see a lot of rainfall and storm activity from the Ohio Valley southward into the southeast this afternoon. And then that will shift up across the northeast on Sunday tomorrow and provide us with some drenching rains across the northeast by Sunday. So much so that we have flood watches across a good real estate of the northeast here. This covers western Maine, all of New Hampshire, much of Vermont, portions of New York State, including New York City and Long Island, getting through Massachusetts, including the Boston region, Rhode Island, Connecticut, getting down into New Jersey and eastern portions of Pennsylvania. So this is a big deal across the Northeast. And over the past week, this is over the past 7 days, this is the rainfall accumulation we have seen across the Northeast. And a lot of places have seen a lot of rain, except for up here into coastal Maine for the most part. Otherwise, we've seen a drenching rain over the past week into the Northeast. And we're just going to be adding to the totals here. This is the total rainfall accumulation today through your Monday morning. And you can see another widespread drencher here with 1 to 3, perhaps up to isolated 4-inch rainfall amounts from Maine down through New Hampshire, Vermont, much of Massachusetts there, Rhode Island, Connecticut, eastern New York State, and then all the way down into Pennsylvania and New Jersey as well. So very widespread rainfall event across this region. So today into Sunday morning, a marginal to slight risk for flash flooding. Keep an eye on that, especially with that slight risk down here into southern New York, northeastern Pennsylvania, and northern New Jersey could have some isolated flash flooding concerns there. It's a bigger deal, though, Sunday into Monday. It's an accumulative effect. We have more rain on top of a saturated soil, so a moderate risk of flash flooding is introduced by the Weather Prediction Center for western portions of Maine, down through Vermont, New Hampshire, eastern New York State, through much of Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, all the way down here into northeastern Pennsylvania and northern New Jersey, right near the New York City area, just west of Boston, the Albany region into New York. So this is a big deal across the Northeast. This could get upgraded to a high risk as we get closer to the day tomorrow. So be sure to keep up with the latest weather forecasts in the Northeast as we move forward. But long term, going towards next week, this is the early part of next week, Monday, Tuesday time frame, we have a fairly strong jet stream with that northwest flow over the top of that strong heat wave that is building across the south central states, and this will cause more rounds of severe weather and heavy rain across the upper Midwest into the Ohio Valley and perhaps the Northeast getting into next week. And the jet stream really doesn't let up too much even by the time we get to Thursday, Friday, late next week. So this is a persistent pattern we're going to be in. So looking at the EPS ensembles, total accumulated precipitation for Monday, looks like a decent chance of rain across the Dakotas, down into Nebraska there, Iowa, into the Missouri Valley. Some rainfall again across portions of interior New England down into the eastern Ohio Valley as well. But there is a slight chance for some severe weather and marginal risk across portions of South Dakota, eastern portions of Nebraska, far western Iowa, down toward the Kansas City region. Could be seeing some isolated damaging gusts up to 60 miles per hour and some quarter-size hail, and cannot rule out an isolated brief tornado across any one of these areas as well on Monday. Then as we go into Tuesday, that shifts a little bit further off to the east and northeast. Looks like Tuesday presents the best chance, at least Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, for a mesoscale convective system somewhere across the Midwest or the Ohio Valley. Right now, the EPS ensemble guidance is pinpointing this south of Chicago into portions of southern Illinois, central Illinois, and then eastward toward Indianapolis and even the Evansville, Indiana region as well. Louisville, those areas will be continuing to keep an eye on that on Tuesday. Tuesday. So much so that my severe weather forecast for Tuesday, July 18th, does have a likely category for severe weather, including damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour, quarter-size hail or larger, and a few tornadoes possible as we go through the mid-Missouri Valley. This is for southeastern Iowa, northeastern Missouri, back through south-central portions of Illinois, southern and central Indiana into southwest Ohio and northern Kentucky. That'll be the main area I'm keeping an eye on for Tuesday, and then that shifts even further to the east by Wednesday across the mid-Atlantic, and then that's where we have more of a possible severe weather categories over here as we go into the day on Wednesday. Looking at the tropical weather update, we have subtropical storm Don spinning across the northern Atlantic Ocean right now, and you can see on the visible satellite imagery, it's really not that impressive. We have a lot of dry air in the North Atlantic right now. The Saharan dust is winning the battle out here, but it is just sitting there lost at sea, spinning across the North Atlantic, and it really continues to do so, but remains a subtropical storm likely through the middle of next week, through the Wednesday, even the Thursday morning time frame, as it just sits here and spins over the open waters of the North Atlantic. But it's a different story on the eastern Pacific side. We have Hurricane Calvin continuing to march its way off to the west, along with a 20% chance of new development just off the coast of Mexico here over the open waters of the eastern Pacific over the next 7 days by the National Hurricane Center. And you do see Hurricane Calvin back here to the west. This is approaching portions of Hawaii. We'll get to that in a minute, but another strong and a robust tropical wave moving off of the Central Americas into the open waters of the Eastern Pacific. That will present itself with at least a low chance, 20% chance of development. Like I said, over the next 7 days, we'll continue to watch that with the warmer waters out here. But looking here as we go into tomorrow, a 994 millibar low approaching portions of Hawaii. Now, it's a little ways off right now, but this will likely be a hurricane even as we go into Sunday morning. But then it'll back off to about a tropical storm or even tropical depression status as it approaches Hawaii early next week on Tuesday, July 18th, bringing some wave action and possibly some rainfall as early as Tuesday night across Hawaii. And then as we go into Wednesday, the European forecast model has a 1,011 millibar low sitting right over the Big Island there on Wednesday the 19th of Hawaii, bringing some heavy rainfall. The GFS a little bit further to the north, but still relatively moving it over the Big Island as we go into that Wednesday time frame. The European forecast model, the rainfall accumulation for Hawaii, has some decent showers and storms as it pushes through with in excess of 2 to 3 inches of rainfall, especially on the eastern side of the Big Island. This goes all the way through that Friday, July 21st time frame. In comparison, the GFS model a little bit further to the north, the smaller islands here on Hawaii actually get the heaviest rainfall and the Big Island misses out. So some differences in the operational models and how they deal with the center of this low pressure. But in general, watch out for some heavy rain. Watch out for some significant waves crashing ashore there into the Big Island, especially in Hawaii. Otherwise, not really posing that big of a risk for the Hawaiian Islands into next week. Well, if you like detailed weather breakdowns in North America, including southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. It's absolutely free to do, and you get these daily weather updates each and every day, and I appreciate all the new subscribers and all the supporters out there as well. Also, very important, press the like button, the thumbs up button down below. It is more important than you know, guys, to get this weather information out to as many people as possible. I really do appreciate that. If you want to follow me on Twitter for additional weather forecast updates, hit the description down below the video. The link for Twitter is down there as well, and follow me there at hweather420. I do post on that platform fairly frequently throughout the week. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching today's video. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below, and I'll get to those later on today, and I hope everybody has a great rest of their weekend out there.